Every Charlotte relocation video sends you to the same 5 neighborhoods. And after selling homes here for years, I understand why. Today, I'm breaking down 5 neighborhoods that don't always make the lists, but probably should. Number 1, Montclair South. Most people moving here have never typed Montclair South into a search bar. However, you may know Montclair proper. It sits right off SouthPark with established streets and the kind of reputation that shows up in the price. Montclair South is right next door. You get similar access, but a much different entry point. Homes here are mostly mid-century ranches and traditional brick homes. They feel solid and settled with mature trees and real yard space. It has more of an older neighborhood feel than the polished new construction energy that you see in South End. These are the kinds of blocks where people have lived for decades, and the newer investment is already showing up. Townhome development has been picking up in the broader area, and that's usually a signal worth watching. When builders start buying in a neighborhood, you want to pay attention. The detail most out-of-state buyers miss is the Arrowwood Station. If you don't need to drive to Uptown every day, that light rail connection changes the whole math. You're looking at homes in the low 400s compared to South End, sitting somewhere in the low to mid 700s. That's not a small gap, right? But this place is still in transition, and I want to be upfront about that. Some streets feel more investment ready than others, but if you understand where the South Boulevard stretch is heading, and you want light rail access before it's fully priced in, this is that neighborhood. The buyers I've worked with here weren't compromising. They were reading the city differently. And the next neighborhood on this list is one of the best examples of why that pays off. But before I tell you which one it is, a quick note. If you're watching this and thinking, I need someone who knows these streets, that's where I come in. I'm Gracie Griffin, and I work with people relocating to Charlotte every day. My contact info is in the description below. Okay, back to the list. Number 2, Sardis Forest and Sardis Woods. Drive into Sardis Forest for the first time and you'll understand why people who live here keep it so quiet. You have mature trees overhead, generous lots on every street, and the kind of settled neighborhood feel that takes decades to grow. The homes are mostly ranches, colonials, and split levels. The kind of housing that was built to last. Sardis Forest sits along the Charlotte-Matthews border, which means you have easy access to downtown Matthews and its local dining scene, along with the larger Charlotte area. You're a short drive to SouthPark, and 485 opens up the whole metro. The appeal here is space, character, and the part that out-of-state buyers don't think to look at: private school proximity. Providence Day School, one of the most recognized private schools in the metro, sits right on Sardis Road. You could walk there. Charlotte Christian is right down Sardis Road as well. For a family that already has private school on the list, that proximity changes the whole location equation in a way that a Zillow search won't show you. Hold on to that when we get to the last neighborhood on this list, because there's a commute reality there that changes how far really feels here. Now on pricing, Sardis Forest and SouthPark are closer than most people assume. Both are in the mid-600s range. Where Sardis Forest starts to make sense is what you're getting for it. More space, bigger lots, and a neighborhood character that SouthPark's more commercial energy doesn't really have. For buyers who want that same feel at a lower starting point, Sardis Woods sits just south and west. Same trees, similar private school access, and the homes are in the low 400s. It's a real neighborhood without the famous zip code premium. And the next neighborhood on this list is the west side answer to everything we just covered, and it's the one most people skip without a second thought. Number 3, Steel Creek. People usually skip Steel Creek before they even finish typing it, and that might be the best argument for it. This is a very suburban place. You have strip malls, planned communities, newer builds, and a layout built around cars and families. If you're moving here for a walkable urban feel, this isn't your answer. And I won't pretend that it is. But if you're running the numbers and asking where you can get the most house for the least money with a commute that still works, Steel Creek deserves a real look. Homes here generally come in the low 400s, with new construction running a bit higher. That puts this neighborhood at or below Charlotte's citywide median, which means more house and more yard than you'd find in most of the city at the same price. The geographic argument almost nobody makes when they're researching the area is airport access. Charlotte Douglas is about 10 miles from Steel Creek, about 15 to 20 minutes depending on the time of day. If you travel often for work or want one partner is catching flights every other week, that distance becomes part of your real life. It shows up in your actual week, not just on a map. 485 is right there too, so you can move around the metro without having to cut through uptown traffic. And hold on to that commute piece, because when we get to the last neighborhood on the list, the story flips. It's the reason a lot of people researching outer suburbs are looking at the wrong data. Now, the uptown commute is real, and I want to be straight about that. Peak hours on I-77 or South Tryon can stretch that drive a lot. If you're in an office 5 days a week, uptown, build that in before you fall in love with the square footage. But for remote workers, hybrid schedules, or anyone who just needs to land at Charlotte Airport twice a week and go home, this place makes practical sense. Now let's shift to the east side of the city, because the next neighborhood is overlooked differently. Number 4, Plaza Shamrock. All right. This one is about to change when the city starts spending real money on it. That's what's happening in Plaza Shamrock right now. If you've looked at Charlotte's east side at all, you know NODA and Plaza Midwood. NODA has that creative district, brewery, and mural energy. Plaza Midwood is the walkable, local restaurant, slightly edgier version of South End. Both have grown a lot over the last decade, and prices show it. Plaza Midwood's median is up in the low 800s. Even NODA, which used to be the more accessible option in that part of the city, has homes sitting on the market much longer than a year ago. That market is sending signals. Plaza Shamrock sits right between them, about 1.5 miles from NODA's main strip, and 2 miles from Plaza Midwood. It's more residential with older brick ranch homes, quieter streets, and blocks that haven't been fully restyled yet. You're not walking to dinner from your front door, but you're a short drive to both neighborhoods when you want them. And your housing cost looks very different. Pricing runs wide depending on condition, but the broader market generally lands in the 400s. Block by block variation is real here, so this is one that you'll want to see in person. The city of Charlotte has a real funded capital improvement project going on along Shamrock Drive. Buffered bike lanes, 2 roundabouts, wider sidewalks, and pedestrian crossings are confirmed, contracted, and already moving. The type of public infrastructure investment usually comes before neighborhood change in a big way. The buyers who move before the work is finished tend to be the ones who feel smart 5 years later. Plaza Shamrock is still in progress. Some blocks feel uneven, and NODA's energy doesn't automatically cross the border. But for the buyer who wants east side access without east side premium, this is the window. And the last neighborhood on this list shows you what Charlotte looks like when a suburb builds its own identity and commits to it. Okay, so we made it to my personal hidden gem. My husband Will grew up in Mint Hill. His whole family is proud Mint Hill residents, and the roots go deep. He tells me that when he was in high school, it was still basically farmland. There were maybe 3 or 4 local restaurants, but that was about it. Now there's a real downtown along Matthews Mint Hill Road. You have Panzer Brewery doing Caribbean-inspired craft beers and tapas, Vintner's Hill Wine Bar and Bistro, the Hill Bar and Grill, and a handful of spots that make it feel like a real town center. Now, nobody flew in and built it overnight. It grew over time, and that's why it holds up. Stevens Creek Nature Center and Preserve is out here with trails and public programs. Front porches get used. The pace slows down. For relocators who are used to hour-plus commutes and the weight of a bigger city, the rhythm of this place can feel like a real exhale, with commutes being just 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes during peak rush hour to uptown. And when it comes to education, Bain Elementary is one of the highest rated public elementary schools in the entire country. It has a 5-star rating on School Digger, ranks among the top schools in North Carolina, and has an 8 out of 10 from great schools. My husband went there, and it's a meaningful part of what draws families to this area. Homes tend to run somewhere in the low 500s to upper 600s, depending on the size and condition, with larger or newer homes pushing higher. The honest trade-off is the commute. But here's what the maps won't show you. Getting home to Mint Hill is easier than it looks because you're heading east, away from South Park, Myers Park, and some of the city's worst bottlenecks. Ballantyne sits about the same distance from uptown on paper, but heading home can push you through some of the heavier traffic patterns. Off-peak, Mint Hill is roughly 30 minutes from uptown. For remote workers, hybrid schedules, or anyone based in the Matthews area, it works. And if you decided that you'd rather live somewhere with its own real identity, Mint Hill is the version of that bet that delivers. The buyers who end up in these neighborhoods usually got there by asking better questions early. Charlotte rewards that. every time. If you're relocating to Charlotte and want a real breakdown of which of these neighborhoods fits you, email me at gracie.griffin@compass.com today. I work with out-of-state buyers on this exact decision all the time. Let's map it out before you make the trip. And I'm covering Charlotte's most overlooked neighborhoods, market shifts, and relocation realities in every new video. If that's useful to you, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.